Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Virtu-Well Connections. I'm Callie Butler, the communication specialist for WellStone. So today we're going to be having a conversation with Laura Shaw about children's mental health. While we as adults are still trying to navigate all the uncertainties, accept all the changes, and just figure out our perplexed state of minds, the kids are even more confused about what's happening. So I'm really looking forward to today's discussion to try to find strategies, methods, insights to help parents with their children's mentality. So Laura, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, then we can go ahead and get started.
I'm Laura Shaw. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I work in the children's department at WellStone in Coleman.
Perfect, and thank you so much for being here today, Laura. So yeah, we'll just jump right in this. So even if this was a normal year, or now since things are a little bit more confusing, what are the signs that guardians should look for concerning depression or anxiety?
Definitely like agitation, irritability. Would say isolation, which I know right now is a little bit more difficult because we're all more isolated than we would be in a normal year. Children blaming themselves, being overly critical of themselves, their sleep patterns changing, being angry, things like that. Like you said, that's going to be in a normal year as well as in our COVID world.
Yeah, sure. So from what you've seen, is this situation that we're in right now, is that something that could maybe cause more of these symptoms?
I definitely feel like it is something that can cause our children to be more anxious because, as adults, with a lot of this, we don't always know what is going on with COVID. And so that's going to rub off on our children. So that anxiety, and especially if they already have some anxiety, it could definitely elevate the symptoms that they're having.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with that being said, and how things are a little bit uncertain, and that these emotions may be heightened more than usual, what are some things that guardians could maybe tell their children to give them a sense of security?
Well, first, I think it's going to be for the parents or guardians to not be frightened about what's going on in the world, as well as what may be going on with their child. So for them to be able to sit down and listen without judging or without lecturing, being supportive, validate their child's feelings and their thoughts to help them navigate through what's going on right now.
I love that advice, just like validating their child's feelings, because I feel like even adults right now are having trouble doing that themselves. So to really just see them from another point of view, and validate them in that way, maybe that would even cause adults to see it for themselves. And
when we validate not just our child's feelings, but just anybody in general, it's going to help them feel more comfortable coming to us to talk about what it is that they have going on, because they're going to feel heard.
Yeah, and that's something that literally everyone could benefit from. So the next question, what are some, whether people are starting back to school, whether that's in their home or face-to-face, what are some mental health exercises that kids could do at home, whether they're at home all day or they get back from school and they're stressing?
I've asked several of our therapists, some of their favorite homework assignments, if you will, to send home after sessions. And a lot of them have said, mindfulness, deep breathing, and definitely allowing time for our children to get outside, because especially since all of this started in March or so, I think a lot of our children have felt kind of trapped. I have to be at home. I can't go anywhere. I can't go play sports. I can't go hang out with people because it's not following social distancing rules. So really letting your child get outside so they're not feeling like they're stuck in a cage. That's, I think, a huge one.
Yeah, and when you say mindfulness, could you just describe a little bit what you mean by that?
Staying in the here and the now, focusing on present and not what ifing yourself until you're in a tizzy, or that you're so anxious you can't, function. So stay here and now.
Yeah, and I think that's important to teach our kids, with just kind of like right now is what we can control, and being here right now, and just that day by day.
Yes, for sure.
So with all of this, and even if it was like a normal year, when's it time for a child to receive that professional help?
So if you feel like your child is able to, cope and manage the difficult feelings that they're having, that's great. But then when it starts to interfere with their daily living and just everyday day-to-day tasks, or if your child feels like their life is just super overwhelming and they can't cope with it, and then especially if you're concerned about your child's safety, at that point you definitely want to seek some professional help.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. So if someone were to want to receive mental health help for their children, what are some of the resources that we as WellStone have to help children navigate kind of through what they're experiencing?
So we are still doing in-office sessions, but we also are doing telehealth sessions, so we can do family therapy, individual therapy. We've got our case managers, and we still have our in-home teams that are working depending on, comfort level of the families, of them being in the home, or if they feel more comfortable coming up here, or doing, a Zoom session or a telephone session. We're definitely using those things while we can, and while it's recommended.
Yeah, and I love that we're offering whatever like the client is most comfortable with too.
And then, we do have our after hours crisis line. So even if you haven't been able to get in for services yet, like if you haven't been able to call or whatever the reason, if something comes up and it's emergent, we have that after hours crisis line, which here in Coleman, it's just our main line number, and you ask for the on-call mental health worker if it's after hours or weekends. So
yeah, and that's a great point. Thanks for mentioning that. I'll make sure to comment those numbers in the comments below. Okay, so is there anything else that you think would be important for guardians or parents to know right now?
Really, just make sure you're talking to your children frequently, not just once a month or even once a week, but every day. Make sure you're checking in with them morning, afternoon, evening, and see how they're doing.
Yeah, I think that's great words of wisdom. So thank you so much again, Laura, for taking time out of your busy schedule to share this with me, and for all the people who get to watch this. So that's it, and we will talk to you guys next time.
Thanks, Kathy.